Now let's have a look at some of the typical problems you'll find with a metal roof. In the old days, 35 to 40 years ago plus, they used to actually lap the sheets. These days they run them long run from top to bottom. But your older roofs, you'll find that they actually overlap in the middle. It's very common that this will rust out. Quite simply, moisture gets in the laps. Now this can be a cause of leaks. You see, a certain amount of water capillaries back up under this sheet, so it will run down and then run back up there. Plus the fact that you get condensation building up under there. If there are any rust holes, it could be a cause of leaks. Another common problem with metal roofs is that the nails come loose. Quite obviously the nails are the security for the roof. When we have loose nails, we normally replace them with these. This is called a Tek screw. And the reason we use these is because unlike nails, they won't work themselves loose again, and they have a neoprene seal which waterproofs the roof. Now the next problem we're going to look at with a metal roof is the scribing. What I mean by scribing is where the roof installer has cut the ridge and the hip capping out to the contours of the sheets. This needs to be nice and snug, very small gaps. When you get big gaps there, it's an area where with blowback, say in a big storm, if water was to drive in sideways, it can actually get up under there, and if the sheets aren't turned up well enough, can actually enter into the roof cavity. So you need to make sure that they're all nice and snug. One word of warning, if you find there are gaps there, do not under any circumstances fill them with silicone. I'll just show you over the other side of the roof. See this? The owner of this home's actually filled up the gaps with silicone. That's the worst thing you can do. You see, if that silicone was to get even a pinhole where water can run in behind it, you'll find that the water will build up, build up, build up and spill inside the ceiling. There actually does need to be a small gap under the ridge or the hip capping. It just needs to be a small gap, that's what we're saying. The next problem we're going to look at with a metal roof is the likelihood of loose sheets. Now this particular roof here, all the sheets are nice and tight, but it is quite common with a roof of say 35 to 40 years plus that the nails have come loose and the sheets can actually be lifting up. That is the worst problem you can have with a metal roof. You see, if the sheets are lifting up in any places, that's an area where wind can get in underneath and actually tear the roof off. Now we come to the most common cause of leaks on any kind of roof, which is right here. This is called a valley. If your valley's clogged up with leaves or other debris, that's an area where water can get trapped and leak inside the ceiling cavity. This needs to be spotless so that the water can run freely down into the gutter. Speaking of gutters, quite obviously you need to make sure that they're clean of debris. Also, if we have a look at these ones here, they're quite rusty. If there's significant rust in your gutters, it might be time to change them. And by the way, just one more thing about metal roofs. If you do find any of the problems we've been talking about, please avoid doing this. Shortly, we're going to show you the right way to rectify these problems. Now, with a roof this bad, ideally you'd replace it. However, this particular client's budget didn't allow for that, and indeed if your budget doesn't allow for that, you might want to consider a roof restoration.